there's the need in the industry for a new independent operating system when it comes to CTV. You look at the last couple of years, and CTV has been really kind of dominated by a few major OEMs. And I think that's creating a unique opportunity, particularly in Europe. As we start to think about kind of the opportunities of having a non-walled garden that is really a content-first user experience. And this is really the backbone and history of TiVo, right? They've always been a user experience first, driving users to the right content, getting them to engage with their kind of platforms. So this is a natural evolution for the company. And I think now as you start to think about new operating systems coming into this space, it's complicated. There's a lot of them kind of coming in right now, but not many of them have that same history and pedigree that we have at Xperi via TiVo. So this is a huge opportunity for us, and we're doing this with a European first lens. So we're starting the operating system out right now in Western Europe, and this is something that's going to start to roll out internationally and globally over time. But right now we really see the opportunity in Europe, which is why they kind of brought me on board to help build out an ad business on top of this operating system.
So tell us about aligning with the OEMs that will use this, what's the appeal for them?
Totally.
And also tell us about the ad business and where that could be going.
Yeah, so again, it's a great question because I think when you start to think about the actual OEMs themselves, they've historically just not been in the software game, right? They've usually licensed it from third parties, so they're the ones just building the actual hardware itself. And it's created this opportunity for us to kind of go partner with them, from a commercial model, but also really just from a growth and partnership perspective, meaning that as they are selling more TVs in market, there's an opportunity to work with one partner to have a consistent user experience. And I think that's something that's been an issue for a lot of these TV OEMs is they've pivoted. Every couple of years, they might have a different operating system. So consumers that might be used to buying a specific TV brand are kind of getting a different experience every single time. So a long-term partnership is what they're looking to build out to help their credibility, but then also there's a commercial aspect to it as well, right? Often we're working with them and basically doing revenue share agreements where there could be opportunities where they have an interest to gain in the ad value that we're driving for them. So I think there's a bigger opportunity that, again, you don't see from the likes of the major OEMs that are out there right now. You're seeing a demand from smaller TV manufacturers that in aggregate make up a lot of scale. So we saw that as an opportunity for us. And that I think is definitely where TiVo's really stepping in and making a name for themselves because nobody's really doing that correctly or effectively in Europe. So this is our chance.
And how does the data play work in terms of user data that being valuable, being used to target? And I know that in Europe there are a lot of GDPR and so on, but what is the data play?
So data is actually a really interesting question because a lot of it in Europe, as you just kind of alluded to, GDPR, revolves around having user consent. And this is something over the last 1 to 2 years, consent management platforms have become almost ubiquitous in CTV. And it'll be no different for us, right? At the heart of it, we have to ensure that the users are giving us the proper consents to allow us to use ACR targeting. That ACR targeting is basically going to allow us to identify what are the apps that people are using on their smart TVs? What's the linear TV content that they're consuming? What are the behaviors that they're actually kind of leaning into with that TV experience? And then ultimately packaging that up from an advertiser's perspective and saying, we can reach unique audiences with this first-party user data that you haven't historically seen on other platforms. So I think from a data perspective, that is really unique for us, for these audiences. But I also think the bigger angle is long-term. You think about other OEMs and their walled garden approach. They don't license that data. They keep it to themselves. I think there's a bigger opportunity to think about how you can start to work with brands and agencies to perhaps even license that data to them. Think about ways that they could maybe take that data and use it themselves for their own modeling, as opposed to us forcing that on them, right? Give the keys to the buyers. And I think that's ultimately something where I see as a big opportunity for CTV, particularly in the operating system space, because again, nobody's really doing that, particularly in Europe. In the US, you've got examples like Vizio, where they've done that. That's really the biggest one. And now with the acquisition of Walmart in the United States, that's even off the table. So I think that there's a need right now for an independent operating system to come in and fill that void, both in Europe and then also potentially in the United States in the future.